Come on in, sit back and relax. You're listening to episode 229 of the WealthTech Today podcast. I'm your host, Craig Iskowitz, founder of Ezra Group Consulting. And this podcast features news, interviews, and analysis on the trends and best practices all around wealth management technology. This episode is part of our Breakaway Advisors series, and we're showcasing Advyzon. Now, Advyzon is a wealth tech vendor founded in 2012 by Hai-Lin Lee, who was one of the original developers and chief architect behind Morningstar's Office platform. He founded Advyzon with the purpose of building an intuitive all-in-one technology platform for advisory firms. They started out with a robust CRM and performance reporting, billing, client statements in a portal. They recently launched their own portfolio rebalancing engine called Quantum, and Advyzon was named the best all-in-one software solution for the 7th consecutive year in the 2024 T3 Advisor Software Survey. All right, before we get started with this interview, let's talk about tech stacks. Now, at Ezra Group, we've seen tech stacks of hundreds of RIAs, and let me tell you, most of them are loaded down with tech debt. So you shouldn't feel too bad about yours. But let's face it, tech debt is like a giant anchor holding back your business growth. If you want to free your firm for exponential growth, you should run, not walk, to our website, ezragroup.com, and fill out the Contact Us form. Our experienced team can evaluate your current tech ecosystem, deliver targeted recommendations, optimize your existing systems and operations, or run an RFP and help you implement new software to take your firm to the next level. You can take advantage of our free consultation offer by going to ezragroup.com. A few quick housekeeping items that we always do before the interview. Please subscribe to the show wherever you listen to podcasts so you don't miss an episode. Check out investinothers.org. That's the Invest in Others Charitable Foundation. They do a lot of good work in our industry, raising money to donate to charities that are either run by or helped by financial advisors. All right, welcome to another episode in our series on Breakaway Broker Technology, Breakaway Advisor Tech. And we've got a panel here. We've got a team of people, all from Advyzon, who are going to talk about the great technology that's available from Advyzon for Breakaway Advisors. Let me just quickly run down the list of distinguished guests we have. First, we have John Makowiak, Chief Revenue Officer at Advyzon. John, is your cue?
Hi, Craig.
Hey, John. Okay, next up is Lee Andriata, CEO of Advyzon Investment Management.
Pleasure to be here, Craig.
Hey there, Lee. Next up is Dirk Pearson, COO of Advyzon.
Hey, Craig.
And finally, and last but not least, founder and CEO of Advyzon, Hai-Lin Lee.
Hi, Craig.
Hey, how you doing? All right. This is quite the panel we've got here. We've only got about 30 minutes, so I want to make sure we get to all the great stuff we want to talk about. But first off, can you give us, John, 30-second elevator pitch for Advyzon?
30-second elevator pitch, certainly. So we are really a comprehensive platform. So as far as breakaways are concerned, we're going to make the technology shopping easy and give you most, if not all, the technology that you need to run your new business. So at our core, we're a reporting and billing solution. We've built our own CRM system, white label client portal and mobile app, full document management system. We have some growth tools that we've built kind of around data collection, digital account opening. A couple of years ago, we launched our TAMP, so full service TAMP rebalancing tool, launched right around the same time. And then last year, we launched our model marketplace called Advyzon Nucleus.
You did it in 30 seconds. Well done, John. So
I've done it before.
We go through where everyone's calling in from. We're going to skip that and jump right into the company, sort of a company overview, because I think maybe not everyone is aware of Advyzon and your history. I find it to be fascinating, guys, how you guys kind of grew up, how you started out, and how you've expanded from a core bit of functionality into a full-featured end-to-end platform. So John, or we want to pass off someone else who wants to give a quick overview.
Yeah, I could feel that one too. So I think it's important to point out, like a lot of our clients and prospects, and certainly relevant to this audience here, we are a breakaway, not just a technology company. So much of our early team, in fact, all four of us here, we work together at a much larger company in the space. Our bios are on our website if anyone is that interested. But like many breakaways, our thought process was just that we think we can serve our clients a little bit better, serve the market a little bit better when we're doing it ourselves versus being a small part of a much larger organization, and have been able to achieve that.
John, are we not allowed to say Morningstar? Is there something wrong with that? You guys
You
broke away from Morningstar.
you could say Morningstar, but
Broke away from
you know,
Morningstar. Nothing, no shame in
we still have a lot of friends and former colleagues over there,
Okay.
and
Well,
we've got a good relationship with them. But yes, we broke away from Morningstar
like an
team.
incubator, right?
Sure. We built the Morningstar Office platform. Helen was actually the chief architect of that system. I was the first salesperson back about 20 years ago now. So we've been doing this for a long time, and I do strongly believe that our experience there really set us up for a lot of the success we've been able to find at Advyzon.
It's a great learning opportunity. It's a great proving ground. I mean, Morningstar's a great company, as I'm sure you would agree, and lots of large companies incubate startups, right? And then people leave and they've got their own ideas, and they go out and start some new stuff, and it's better for the industry overall. So we're happy about that.
Yeah.
So let's get into specifically technology that Advyzon's offering that breakaway firms would be interested in. So, John, where do you guys want to start?
You look at portfolio management. I think that's a really good starting point, because that's not something that you go out and you see a million different choices for. The reason being is that it's hard to do, and we've done it twice now successfully, and we're there's a very small circle of people that can say that. So, but I'd say we start there, and there's a bunch of different aspects to it that we could cover.
Let's jump in, talk about rebalancing. Let's do the new quantum rebalancer. Talk about
Sure. Yeah, I'll kick that one over to Dirk. Dirk has been instrumental in conceptualizing quantum. We started with 2 beta testers and grew that to about 100, a little more than 100 over the 15 months we beta tested prior to launching, and Dirk was there every step of the way. So he's definitely the best person to talk us through that.
Yeah. So I think we're over 300 firms now using quantum. I think, like with anything you'll find in Advyzon, the goal is to make the setup and the functionality as flexible as possible to meet the needs of the various types of businesses and firms that are using the product. So that includes household level rebalancing, subgrouping of household accounts, account level, UMA sleeving. That's where you'll get into our Nucleus model marketplace product, where you can take off-the-shelf strategists and incorporate them into custom UMAs for client portfolios. So we've really built out a robust feature set in a short period of time. It's only continuing to get built out as we move forward as well. Lee, anything you wanted to add on the portfolio management side?
Yeah, I think when you think about advisors' role within a wirehouse or a bank, and they're breaking away, typically they're teams based, right? So somebody might be a portfolio manager, somebody might be a trader, but they're all kind of servicing this group of clients. And what Advyzon's done masterfully is taken all those different models and made it available to whoever the breakaway he or she is to support their business. So Dirk mentioned, Quantum, which is our rebalancer. It's Repper Advisor is PM. They could get in, create their own models, trade them, rebalance them, do tax loss harvesting, kind of the whole suite that you'd think of with a rebalancer. And then, also, through the model marketplace, they could take traditional SMA managers, sleeve it out into a UMA account structure. And really, it becomes the horsepower of that single account up to a household, up into derivatives of that household specific groupings, and give the ability to have exclusions, equivalencies, any of that horsepower that you need to support a breakaway's book of business, either as a trader or as a asset allocation and investment specialist. It's all there right under the hood to be taken advantage of within Advyzon.
So Lee, did you say equivalency? So I could set up security equivalences for alternative options in a model?
Absolutely. And for wash sales in particular, if it's a non-qualified account. So all of that functionality is inherent within the rebalancer itself. And then on our TAMP side, we offer, more advanced institutional type of trading. Think of low cost basis, IBM executive that they don't want to sell. We could create an equivalencies within an overall asset allocation. So that becomes a large cap growth portion of that portfolio.
Nice. That's really helpful for higher net worth clients. Not a lot. We find that's so often a capability that some rebalancers lack, security equivalence, and it's very, very handy. You mentioned one other thing I wanted to ask you. So with breakaways and their team base, and they're coming from wirehouses or large broker dealers, they often have multiple accounts, taxable, non-taxable accounts. Do you guys have location optimization where we can automatically allocate different securities and different types of accounts?
Exactly, Craig. Sorry, Lee, you were jumping in, ready to jump on that one. So our baseline starting point in getting into quantum was to make it as sophisticated from a logic perspective as possible. So we actually started with household level trading so that we could tackle the optimization from an asset location perspective. We also do some asset class specific optimization, so finding a more optimal portfolio along the efficient frontier that actually serves as a more, I guess I'm going to use the word optimal again, optimal after tax and wealth scenario relative to maybe what the target portfolio was. That's certainly optional. We don't force that upon people, but given that there is that advanced sophistication under the hood, it's just extra value add that we see that we're bringing to our users.
Dirk, when you say household level trading, that means I can apply a model to an entire household and it allocates across all the accounts that are connected to that household?
Exactly. So as part of that asset location, the system is built to recognize the qualified or non-qualified or tax-free nature of any of the accounts that are within the household so that we make the decision on where to locate the assets that need to be purchased relative to the strategy. The advisors themselves have the ability to override our default logic. So if they have specific preferences that maybe don't align with ours, they can override that logic. But built in to make it as turnkey as possible, that logic exists out of the box.
Nice. That's really useful. That's a pretty powerful feature. Again, we always ask about that, and not a lot of other rebalancers have that capability. So kudos to you guys for building that out. And it's not easy to build. We built a couple of rebalancers and helped enhance them. And building the stuff from scratch is not a trivial task. Do you want to? Okay, so I'm breaking this into segments. So we just did rebalancing, portfolio management. I want to be able to cover a couple other areas of your technology. So let's move into CRM. This is another area where I think you're somewhat unique, and not a lot of firms have a built-in integrated CRM. Can you talk about that and how it improves the lives of breakaway advisors?
Yeah, I think if you look at breakaway advisors, oftentimes their whole tech stack is selected for them, handed to them, and then they get into the process, and now they have to go shop and look at 3 different CRMs and 3 different reporting systems and on down the line. Advyzon CRM is built in-house, and what makes it unique is not just that we built it in-house, it is that it's fully integrated throughout the rest of the Advyzon experience. And even back when Hyland and I were talking about how we were going to build this out, the user experience was at the forefront of his mind. And building our own CRM and baking it in throughout, there's not even a button in Advyzon that says CRM. And that is because it's built around the user experience. How does an advisor work with their clients? And so if someone calls in, just as an example, a client calls in to their advisor for whatever reason, questions on their account, you pull up a single client record. And in that client record, and actually I think our LinkedIn just put it out today, just a quick video I did of the client record. CRM data is right next to reporting data. CRM capabilities like leaving a note, it's all right there. We've built a deep integration with both Office 365 and with whatever Google is calling their product, Workspace these days. They've changed it a few times on us. Those deep integrations are there. So when someone clicks the calendar button in Advyzon, the calendar is just your calendar. It's not a calendar that just lives within our system. It's a deep integration back and forth. Emails to or from anyone in the household are automatically going to log within that client record. And then we've got a little, we call them widgets. It's a widget called Recent History that works like a feed. And so all of that information, communication going back and forth is all going to log there. Documents. We've built a lot of integrations with custodians. I think we'll talk about in more detail here, but like a monthly custodial statement. We're in February recording this. Tax forms. They're all available through the advisor's portal, and you're not forcing the investor to go out to one or multiple custodians to grab those tax forms. Automations and workflows is another thing. Dirk, I'd like you to expand on that because you've done a ton of work in the last, say, 12 months, and I'd say that's very high on the priority list for 2024 here.
Yeah, so we've spent a lot of time building out our task management system and the capabilities around making that super flexible. And I think the best way to put kind of the direction we're going with workflows in general, and certainly hitting on this theme of automations, is we're no longer telling you what you need to go and do. We're actually also going to start to perform the actions for you. So when we're talking about automations, it's triggers that occur from some action, some time-based event, some client age-based event, and then it's actually performing a follow-up. An easy example of this would be our client review tracking that we've built out in the system as well. So if you have client tiers and you're hoping to meet with certain clients on a regular quarterly interval, we'll track the last meeting, we'll track when the next meeting is supposed to happen, and then leveraging our automations feature, it could also run reports, send out the meeting invite automatically, all by just setting up that automation to begin with. And then at scale, it'll take client by client and perform that executed step-by-step cadence for you every time that you have a client review coming up. So there's exciting potential there. Obviously, I could go on about that for an hour if we have the time, but that's a little gist for where we're going with workflows and automations.
Dirk, I'm really interested in workflows and automations. It's something we do here at Ezra Group a lot, working with our RIA clients. Even if we're implementing a new CRM or if they've got a CRM, oftentimes their workflows and automations are very light. They really don't have them. They haven't implemented, they're not using them. So to me, that's 50% of the value of a CRM is the workflows and automations. So I'm interested in your triggers. If you can just go a little bit deeper into that, and when I'm building tiers, client tiers, which a lot of larger RIAs that are growing fast know to do, how does it help me manage those?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's just take 2 steps back and get to John's point real fast about having all of the data from your portfolio management system and your CRM system within the same system, right? So the triggers themselves, whether it's report-based triggers or whether it's just segmenting my book of business based upon some type of AUM or portfolio characteristic, and then applying a rating based upon that dynamic grouping of clients that meet certain thresholds. And then for clients who meet a certain rating, have these triggers go off or have the next review dates go on a quarterly interval versus a semi-annual or annual interval. And then maybe within certain client reviews, we have higher touches on those, right? So we have different types of report triggers. Reports can also be delivered through the body of an email, not even an email attachment, where I could have personalized data delivered to that client ahead of the review meeting. I can also set up to-do lists through their client portal. So our workflows have previously been in-house only, right? Only users of Advyzon on the staff or advisor side can interact with those. But in our next-gen workflows, what we're actually doing is we're bringing this capability to actually loop in your end investors into the workflow engine itself. Where inside their portal, they would get to-do lists. So if it's a review period and I need updated material on demographic or any material changes to the household or their net worth, I can capture those all through simple to-dos ahead of the review meeting itself. In addition to pushing those extra touches out seamlessly and without any friction or manual effort to actually trigger those to go out. So You can imagine a lot of different scenarios, Craig, in which you can leverage triggers. So somebody could edit a record. You can move it from a prospect to a client. You could manually move it from one tier to another, which then maybe needs to update the review cadence automatically. So it doesn't necessarily need to just trigger a workflow itself. It might just be performing a simple action step in the system. It might be running a report. It might be running a rebalance. It could be a daily monitoring check on the portfolio, whether it's out of balance to its mandate target allocation. And if it is out of its target mandate, to go and actually run one of our rebalance scenarios to present the trades to the advisor to get that portfolio back within its target asset allocation. So this is where we're not just focused on, well, I guess they're all technically operational workflows, but when you think about all of the different functionality that Advyzon has baked within one single source, vertically integrated piece of technology, we just feel like the workflows that we're able to drive through automations are vastly, I'm not going to say superior, but wider as far as the possibilities are concerned.
Yeah, indeed. And back to what Lee mentioned, the important point that Lee mentioned, that breakaways are often team-based, and having these workflows that can move certain triggers or certain actions or certain events to different team members is critically important.
Well, yeah, one quick thing to add on that. So another baseline change that we made to Advyzon recently is what we call servicing teams. So servicing teams are comprised of custom roles that are defined in-house. Based upon those roles and or the teams themselves, our workflows can dynamically assign themselves out to the team. So we recognize who the owner is of an object. So it might be a record action that triggers a workflow to go off. Within that workflow that was predetermined, it might have dynamic assignments for each task, who that report needs to get generated for, who needs to do what. And what you can do with an Advyzon now is actually have one workflow that dynamically signs itself out based upon the team and or the roles that are servicing a particular relationship or that service a particular function within the operation.
I'm hesitant to ask this question, but because I want to move on to the next segment here. But what do you mean dynamically assign themselves? How does it dynamically assign, or how does the workflow dynamically assign itself to a certain person?
Yep. So this is just using system intelligence, right? And the pre-configured setup of the system, who each user is, what their role is, what a servicing team might look like on a particular record, or what a servicing team looks like within the operation. So when you actually go and you set up your workflow and you say, okay, this is task one that needs to get completed as part of this broader workflow. Well, task one might have a specific role that needs to complete it. And let's just think about a bigger firm, in this case, Craig, where you have different ops people, maybe servicing different advisors within a firm. That servicing team can get dynamically assigned out to the advisor as new accounts and new relationships come into our system. But then we know exactly who the person is behind that role. So if a record triggers a workflow to go off, let's just say it's John Doe's record and his client segment changes from a 4-star to a 5-star, just using a basic rating system. That first task now, based upon that workflow setup to define this team-based role that specific task needs to get assigned to, is going to find its way to that specific individual who relates to John Doe's record within that servicing team that was set up. So based upon your broader operation, you'll have these roles and or servicing teams assigned to all these tasks. It could be the advisor themselves. Certainly you can hard code these to individual users if your firm isn't larger, right? If it doesn't need that dynamic sophistication associated to it. But we have all the logic in place behind the scenes to handle that dynamic assignment. And let's just say you're a single advisor, you don't yet have a team within that firm. That role doesn't exist as a servicing advisor on John Doe. It's going to go back to that advisor by default. So we have this kind of funnel up logic to get the task assigned to somebody, even if it maybe doesn't exist for that specific.
Right.
Real quick, Craig, can I jump in and maybe take 15 seconds? Think of a client associate. Client associate onboards a client. That client is now opened at the custodian. The custodian sees the account there. Dynamically, it alerts the trader within the firm that a trade needs to be made or that a rebalance needs to be made. Then it could dynamically alert the advisor that they need to reach out to the end client and tell them that their account is open, their account has just been traded, and everything's looking good for them. that's what we mean by dynamic roles kind of spurring on the next point through the process.
I get it. Thank you. That's a lucid and very concise explanation. All right, last segment. Let's talk about another area of your technology that is useful for Breakaway advisors. That's the client portal. John, who wants to take that?
I could start with it. So if we look at our client portal, I mean, that is the firm's brand. That is how the investor in 2024 is consuming their account data. So what we did a few years ago in conjunction with a revamp of our custom reporting, we built a tool called Brand Kit. Brand Kit allows the user to upload their logo and their color scheme. That's going to flow through to reports. That's going to flow through to the client portal. That's going to flow through to the mobile app. So effectively, the investor experience. So client portal itself, part of that Brand Kit. The firm would really make the portal look like an extension of their website. So that's uploading their own background image to start, putting their own logo on there. I think the white background with a tiny little firm logo is kind of lame at this point. We want it to look really nice, really polished, and put our users' best foot forward in the eyes of their clients and prospects. Hand in hand with the client portal is our prospect portal. So what we were finding, I think one of the things we've really excelled at over the years ago, and frankly, something we all probably enjoy more than most, is we really listen to our clients, and all of us really thrive on delivering something that delights them. What we were hearing was our clients were using the first version of our client portal to communicate with their prospects. And, this is presumably someone you want to impress. And you're saying, here, log in and ignore 3/4 of what you're looking at. Just upload documents to me. I thought, well, we can do better. And so the prospect portal, same experience as the client portal. It can be designed down to the individual contact level. So presumably husband and wife can have different portals if the need arises. We're able to take and say, all right, things like performance history. Let's take that out of the prospect portal. Let's give them the ability to sync their held away accounts first of all. Let's put my bio on there. Let's put a market update, and then we'll have our document vault for secure document exchange. We also have a tool called Fact Finder that incorporates into the client portal. And so that Fact Finder tool can be used for data collection, for risk tolerance questionnaire. Last fall, we added proposal generation tools. And then with a number of different custodians, we have digital account opening capabilities. So the user can leverage our client portal, not just for existing clients, but can get the digital account process started and finished, and everything in between. And Dirk, prop gen, proposal generation, I think you should probably expand upon, because I know you've done a lot of hard work on that over the last 12 months.
Yep. So part of the fact finder process, you can also include our risk tolerance questionnaire. You can also create a custom risk tolerance questionnaire. Ultimately, what we're trying to achieve is figuring out the client's time horizon and their risk appetite, so that we can figure out the right recommendation, or the advisor, can figure out the right recommendation to make back to that client as far as an investment proposal is concerned. So our investment proposal ties in a lot of different analytics and comparisons and simulated rebalances, just to give a comprehensive idea. And obviously that's data dependent as far as how deep we can go with that analysis. But I think it's just trying to provide a more comprehensive set of information about suggested strategies or products themselves. And really that's meant to then seamlessly carry through an approval step and into our rebalancing engine, or if you want to use our outsourced TAMP services, it can seamlessly flow as far as pushing the accounts or records over to them.
I like the comprehensive nature of that, and I think the prospect portal that's a differentiator. I've not heard of that before. A portal we've heard of of the website being usually the RIA's website, is their prospect portal. That's where the prospects are coming in. But you have a different capability there. So it's like a link where a prospect would click here, and if they get their own screens and it walks them through some process.
Yeah.
So-
Instead, go ahead, Dirk.
Yeah, I was just going to say, so it's actually a self-registration link to create their own portal account. What advisors can do in a differentiated fashion with a prospect versus a client is actually pre-configure what the landing experience is for that first login experience. So what we see people using our prospect portal for is they'll provide a self-registration link, whether they want to embed it in their website or send it out selectively once they have a prospect who is ready to provide more information than just to get to know you. At that point, it can be a comprehensive data gathering assignment through the fact finder, right? So we're collecting everything digitally and securely. That gets then sent over to the advisor with notifications once the end investor kind of gets through whatever the pre-configured fact finder process is. So we have multiple sections that can be included in a fact finder. It doesn't have to be everything. They can kind of curtail it to exactly the type of information that they actually want to get, if they want a risk tolerance questionnaire or not. Totally up to the advisor. But then that information can seamlessly flow into the CRM, can be seamlessly leveraged for things like digital account opening, any other type of paperwork that the firm needs to go through with any type of new prospect or client relationship. So we found that to be a very popular tool and only growing in popularity as we add more functionality to it as well.
You guys are a great team. You've handed off information, you provided details, worked together well to deliver this podcast to our listeners, and we're now out of time. I think we've got through everything we wanted to get through. I really thank you guys for being here. John, where can listeners find more information about Advyzon?
Yeah, more information about Advyzon's on advyzon.com, our TAMP services, Advyzon IM, investment management, advyzonim.com. And then both have forms to fill out to connect with our sales team to have a deeper discussion.
Fantastic. Thanks again, guys, for being here. Real appreciate it.
Thanks for having us, Craig.
Thanks, Greg.
Hey, it's Greg again. Here are my top 3 takeaways from this episode. It was a doozy. We covered a lot of stuff here. Portfolio management. We talked about Advyzon's quantum rebalancer. Over 300 firms are using it. Since breakaways are often team-based, they believe some of the features and functionality of the rebalancer and the portfolio management functionality in general would be great for breakaway teams. We talked about the CRM, how it's built in-house, how it's integrated into the platform. And this is something that we promote a lot at Ezra Group, is the integration of technology across the advisor's ecosystem. We think of it more as an advisor operating system rather than separate silos, because we've always had CRM as a silo in its application, financial planning as a silo in this application, portfolio management, another silo. You get the idea. Everything's separate. So the fact that Advyzon has built everything intuitively in an integrated way, I believe provides a lot of value to advisors. And then we covered their client portal. Now it has a proposal generation, digital account opening, and a fact finder data collection tool, all rolled into one. As we mentioned, please check them out at advyzon.com. All right, that's it. You've reached the end of another episode of the WealthTech Today podcast. Please go to our website, ezragroup.com. Scroll to the bottom of the homepage. Smash that button to subscribe to our newsletter. Once a month, you'll receive an email chock full of wealth management goodness, news, updates, information. You won't be disappointed. So thanks for listening, and talk to you all again next time.